Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Disney Talks, and I kind of want to talk about a few things in this one, so it's multiple topics. So I'm going to get to the point to what I think about certain things. Now let's talk about the whole Sony Marvel Spider-Man deal thing that I'm kind of up in the air about. Honestly, I enjoy the new Spider-Man movies, but as a comic book fan, there are a lot of things that just get under my skin with the choices they do in the films. I guess you can kind of label that down as nitpicks, but if you are a dedicated comic book version of that character, you're gonna see and notice things that are a little bit more unrealized from the non-informed people who like to just deviate towards just the movies and TV shows. I started from a comic book fan, so yeah. So my thoughts on that thing that's going on with them. Honestly, Spider-Man is an iconic character enough, and I think no matter what's going to happen, we always are going to get new iterations of Spider-Man, and depending on how they do it, I'm up in arms. I'm not going to feel like blaming anyone is really the major problem within what's going on. I think let's just see what happens, and Spider-Man is an iconic character enough to kind of say he is going to have a decent movie cinematic outing and out of all of his cinematic outings. So honestly, I think that whole deal is kind of silly, and at this point I don't really think anything's going to happen with that. You know, depending on what happens, I'm going to see what happens and be thankful for what we got already. So another thing I wanted to talk about is Disney live-action remakes. I think they're really superfluous as things that really shouldn't be done. Honestly, if you have a good film, you shouldn't really try to hit the notes on what made those movies well and kind of like basically being a live-action shot-from-shot remake. And honestly, I feel like a lot of things from this perspective ain't really one of those things that I feel, because like I'm 26, and if I want to go back and watch the version that I know, I'm going to go watch the animated version, so I don't really care for all the live-action remakes. Even though half the ones that I grew up with the Renaissance movies, I might like rent them when they are out, binge a few and just kind of do another video like this, rank the Disney live-action Renaissance films once they're all done. Aren't they going to do all of them? So I might talk about like worst from best and from my perspective if I want to do that video in the future, but you never know. So yeah. And I think one more thing I wanted to talk about is, I think that's pretty much, I got all the notes I wanted to talk about, is the Spider-Man thing that's going on in Disney remakes. Oh yeah, let's talk about the Fox merger. I was going to wait to let this settle out for a bit, take a good while for it to kind of set in, and my thoughts on how they could bring these characters in. Like, I wanted to do, how I would kind of introduce the X-Men or the Fantastic Four into this universe. I think I trust the Marvel studio creators that they know how to do these characters well enough. I'm going to trust whatever they do and just give you my thoughts on perspectives on villains that I want to see from these characters done right. I think if they do the X-Men movie, I think that if they do an X-Men movie down the route, I think they have to go full reboot on this. I mean, do the original lineup that was there from the First Class comics, just do that lineup from Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, Angel, Iceman, all those characters. Just do that character lineup for the first films going in, then slowly introduce new characters and new rosters, and maybe they could do a movie where they can slightly do the giant size 42 introduced characters. Maybe you can have like Mesmero kind of take over their minds and kind of fight the X-Men on behalf of maybe Magneto or someone. That's just a thought I would like to see in the big. I want to see them earn the moments and do these ideas right. I think build up to these iconic big heroes and villains. So that's kind of like my thoughts on the X-Men. Like, I want to see that first interaction with Juggernaut, not Magneto, because I think Juggernaut would be a great way. It's similar to the Magneto story, but it would kind of be more settling because family-friendly movies are things that they do, and I think bringing in that family element towards the X-Men franchise is something that they really need to hold on to and kind of show that struggle with the mutants and family dynamics things, or how I see these characters, you really kind of fit into that, perspective, and I think that's really what you need to do with the first X-Men movie is dignify it by having Juggernaut. I was a big thing. I'm a big fan of the character of Juggernaut, and it was sad to see that his story was merged into Mystique's story in the Fox movies. That really got under my skin a lot. But honestly, I want to see this done right. I want to see these characters given the justice they deserve. It's not like I'm in between with some of the X-Men movies. I don't hate all of them, but there are ones I think that are a little bit better and a little bit more weaker than the other ones as comic book movies, as comic book adaptation versus a movie first, There's the ones that are good movies and have bad adaptations, and the movies that are bad adaptations but good films. But honestly, that's just my opinion on that. For the Fantastic Four, I really want to see them earn those moments that happened I think, going back and doing Mole Man, then slowly interweaving more classic villains. I think you could do, like, the perfect trilogy of X-Men the Fantastic Four films of doing Mole Man, Annihilus, then Doom. Build up to these bigger characters and how you can do it. And honestly, I think that's kind of where I would want to see these kind of franchises take on to the future with them being into the MCU. I want to see, that's what the MCU does. They earn their moments right. Honestly, I really think the MCU Spider-Man movies are horrible adaptations, but I can still enjoy them as movies. That's just my perspective. I'm sorry. I'm a comic book fan of these characters. I do not let past movies or past adaptations dictate how I feel about these characters. If you know the characters enough, more than the average folk, you need to kind of let that be your drawing point to why you like these characters so much. So, honestly, I just don't want to see these things get out of hand. And honestly, I might do my fan cast videos on who I would like to see play the X-Men or the Fantastic Four. I might do those videos in the future, but as of right now, I'm still trying to, make sure I got, good actors that are capable of doing these things, or just get the casting directors from Spider-Man movies to do what they did with that, or hell, get Chris Evans to be the casting director. Yeah, that would be a perfect way to do it. Get Chris Evans as, I know he says he wants to do more of a creative background with the movies. Get him to be the, casting director for the X-Men and Fantastic Four movies. That's all I'm saying. Shooting that idea out in the ring. Maybe he can do the Fantastic Four movies. Because he was in the first two live-action ones that I don't love, but I'm indifferent to because they're nostalgic, guilty pleasures of that bygone 2000s superhero movie genre. But honestly, they were fun films. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not here to talk about my thoughts on movies. I just want to talk about these things. I think, honestly, Disney really needs to kind of see these things from a different perspective. I'm not always going to be on that side. I'm going back and saying I'm not going back and saying I am a Disney kid. I will always be. I always grew up more with the Hanna-Barbera characters, the Looney Tunes, the DC superheroes. Those were like my iconic nostalgic properties that I loved watching and enjoying the most and reading the most. So that's just a quick Disney talk that I wanted to talk about. Again, my Disney Plus thoughts on the TV shows. I don't really like to talk about like the TV shows that the MCU does. Like, I only stream. I'm more of a movie fan guy. I'll probably. I don't know how I'll figure it out, but if maybe some way down the road I might look at them. But again, I just like to focus on the movies. I think there's so many parts of the MCU, like from the live action movies, the comic book tie-ins, the video. There's so many things that's set in the universe. Like, I want to streamline to just one thing from that thing, and that's the movies for me. Like, I always liked the movies. I liked what they did with the Avengers trilogy. I like what they did with the Thor trilogy. I like what they did with the Captain America trilogy, the Iron Man trilogy. You know, look at these characters. I can't wait to finish their trilogies. You know, I want to see these good movies done right, and that's just my quick Disney talks. And yeah, that's that. Comment, rate, subscribe. Bye.